Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Super Duper Homebrew Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Kegging during active fermentation, buying grains at a garage sale, gift ideas for homebrewers, and our go-to Thanksgiving beers. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 257. And welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. I am your host, Joshua Stubing. Today I'm joined by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com, Mr. James Carlson down there, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, welcome to another fun-filled episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour.
Yay!
How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm ready for Black Friday to come and go. I'm getting tired.
You need a haircut. What's up with this?
Oh, no, I do. In fact, I'm actually going for a booster today with my wife to town. I may get a haircut while I'm there.
You should. I mean, I'm jealous. You have hair. Both of you have such beautiful heads of hair. And look who joined us, Sadie or Gracie. Pardon me, not Sadie.
Gracie.
Look at Gracie.
Hey, Gracie.
Oh, she's my favorite thing of coming to the office now. I love that you bring her every day, because when I come and bring my lab, I feel less bad about it.
Well, I've created a monster because now she just follows me to the door. Right?
Oh, are you? Yeah. She won't stay home now. She like
yeah,
no.
That was wrong. It's like feeding people food.
Oh, totally.
Go back.
Yeah, when I bring the lab up to the ranch, I always tell Todd that my wife says that our dog Murray doesn't like people food, but then Todd gives him people food, and it turns out he loves people food. I don't know where my wife got that from.
I've seen him eat pork and brisket and all kinds of beef, chicken. He'll eat chicken. Yeah, he eats a lot of people food.
He eats a lot of people food and seems to really enjoy it. Again, I have to tell my wife, I think you're wrong about that. Or maybe she said, don't feed him people food. Not that he didn't like it.
She has never told me that.
That is true.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go grab something to show y'all.
Yeah, no problem. That is true, Todd. She's never told you that directly, so I can't be at fault because it's you feeding him, and she's never given you those instructions.
No, never any instructions on that. I can't. There was one thing I was going to mention before we get fully started. You were talking about Imperial Yeast, so I hope Owen isn't listening, but I repitched beer on top of an old thing of yeast that like James did forever on Kolsch when he did like 5 in a row like that. And anyway, the Kolsch that I brewed this time, I just put it right back on top of the old that you and I brewed. I mean, you helped me with it. You threw it right back on top.
Okay, hold on.
And I'm telling you, it is fantastic, dude.
Okay,
it is really turning out good.
I know. I had a little bit out of the taster, the conical, first time I was up, or last time I was up there, and it was phenomenal. But let's just get this straight. And if you try to interrupt me, I'll mute your channel. You mashed in, and then you abandoned me. You mashed in and you abandoned me, and then you came back when I was transferring to the conical.
And I appreciate the help. I really do.
telling people.
He did good. I never got a text. I'm telling you, he was
I didn't.
To town.
I didn't. I was just say I felt proud that I didn't have to call James. No, pardon me. I did call you once, but it was because I was afraid that I was gonna have to.
You called me once.
That's who it was. Pardon me.
While I was in the meeting with my banker,
you're in the banker meeting. And I was like, dude, I've actually never used a CF15. How do I transfer into how do I open the top? Because it was pressurized, or I thought it was pressurized. It wasn't actually. I could have just opened it, and Todd made sure to make me feel like an idiot when he got there. He goes, "You don't know how to open this." and then he did it.
Oh, and it wasn't. So I did put the beer into the conical. Yeah.
Well, that was when you came back. You came back. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your help. I really do.
Oh yeah. The Kolsch, your first gin Kolsch, not this batch that we did. The one that you did by yourself was a hit at my cousin's wedding shower. Good. Huge hit. That one, and believe it or not, the coffee stout, the breakfast stout clone, was a huge hit. It was great. Wow. There's like half of that keg left. And here's where I don't know if my cousin still listens to the podcast because he gets enough of me at family gatherings. We brewed those for the party, and I should have been like, if we floated every keg, I should have been flattered. But I found myself annoyed by how good the beer was being received by these 60-ish people that were attending. I felt like, hey, man, that guy's going back. That's like his fifth beer. What the? Hey, man, you might have a drinking problem. Or I was, but no.
Did they float them?
No, but we got very close on the Kolsch. So okay, let me tell you something funny. You did this at your party, and I'm a firm believer of this at any party. You get 9-ounce glasses, and you put them there because if you're hosting a party of people who maybe aren't the biggest on beer or something, you don't want them to have to commit to a big pour, right? I mean, I prefer from draft systems at Todd's place or at my pop's to drink in 9-ounce pours because I kind of drink slower. I like to enjoy the beer, and it's not going to be warm by the time I'm down to 9-ounce. Where if you poured a whole pint, and you take a while, it's going to get warm. It doesn't taste so good. You might want to pitch it or something. So anyway, at parties, I'm a big believer do the 9-ounce because one, it prevents people from being overcommitted to a beer that maybe they've never had or a style they never had. But two, psychologically, after like the second 9-ounce pour, which is now 18, their brain's like, oh, I've already had 2 beers. Maybe I should lay off the beer or something. If you did 2 pints, that's like almost double the quantity and your beer's going quicker. So this one guy that we had cups out for the 9-ounce cups for the beer, and my mom had the 16-ounce cups for the tea. This one guy got real smart. I saw he went and got the teacups. He went and got the 16, and he was the one just on the Kolsch for like in a 2-hour span. I saw him pour like 9 Kolsch. Like, this thing's really good, man. This beer.
I wasn't invited to the party, but I would have brought this.
Of course, yeah, or the big gulp is that, or that 7-Eleven, right?
This is like 32. Yeah. So, Bauman and I tried to use that theory when we were in Cologne last time, and we went out by the river and had 7-ounce glasses of Kolsch. But it turns out if you have 20 of them, that doesn't work.
Oh yeah, it is. That is one of my favorite things about going to Cologne or Dusseldorf, and I'm assuming a lot of European or specifically German cities do this, where your beer's on a coaster, and every time they bring you another one, they mark it so they know what to charge you at the end of the night. In Cologne, when you're drinking in 7-ounce increments, it's a lot of check marks on any given coaster. And James, do you still save your coasters from those trips? Because I saved mine. It's cool to go back and look how much you drink at any given brewery, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
I think that I feel like the deal is you put your coaster on top of your cup if you don't want any more.
Right.
I've noticed that when you're a tourist, they nail you on that and really get a kick out of it. Because when you've had too many beers, they're bringing another one and they're like, well, you didn't put your coaster on your cup. How many times has that happened to you there, right?
The first time you took me to Schlussel, I didn't know that and you didn't tell me. And I was like, oh my God, why do they keep bringing these to me? You go, oh yeah, you got to put that on top and they'll start. Because you were having a great time watching me get sloshed. But because then you talked me into a shot of Killapitch, like almost immediately, which we won't even get into Killapitch. So also on the small talk, James, how's your lager coming? I know, funny story. James brewed a lager. I tasted it last week. It is turning out phenomenally. But you ended up pitching like Urkel an old patch of Urkel because you didn't want to use the. Why did you use Urkel?
Because we had one packet of Harvest, and that's what I normally use. And we had a whole bunch of Urkel. So what I did was I made up the difference with Urkel that I would normally use with Harvest. It turned out to be pretty good. Just a touch of sulfur, a little bit, but it'll clean up. I never worry about that because that'll go away over conditioning. But this is 11 days now. I brewed that 11 days with Coy. One of the listeners came in and we brewed. And it's crazy. That's a lager. It was finished in 3 days. It's been cold conditioning. So we brewed it on a Friday. I got to work on a Monday, went ahead and let it go another day. We did the diacetyl on a Wednesday, and I let that run the rest of the week. And then Friday, I cold crashed it. And Monday, I came in, and it's about halfway carbonated, but it's drinkable. I mean,
it was very drinkable last Friday when you shared it with me. I was like, oh my gosh, this finished in like 3 or 4 days. Are you kidding?
Crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah. Imperial yeast. Urkel's one I don't believe I've ever used, but all their strains are phenomenal. Like we're fans.
Yeah.
But I was just surprised that you didn't use Harvest. I was like, wait a second. Is it a James Carlson lager if it doesn't have Imperial Harvest in it? It was, but I'm very happy. Now, is this a recipe you've done before, or was this like just using what grains you had?
I just kind of threw it together. Coy and I went upstairs, and I knew it was going to use base malt, Pilsen malt, because I want to do total brain fart. Help me out, Todd.
Pilsner.
I was going to do just a German Pils.
Yeah.
And so I had Pilsen malt, and then at that time I didn't have any Cara Pils, which I always add that for a little protein and head retention. And I noticed they had Cara Hells, and it gives it it's got a little different color, a little different protein and body to it. And I thought, and on there, it's really cool the way Todd set that up upstairs. We have the specialty grain bin. We have a very good description on each grain. So you don't have to go through your notebook or your phone and look it up. And it had it right there. Good body for Pils, German Pils. So I added what I'd normally do in Cara Pils. I added with the Cara Hells. And then we just did 5 ounces. We did a 16-gallon batch. So I did 5 ounces of Saaz, 60, nothing else. We did 9 pounds. If you're working on a 5-gallon recipe, it'd be 9 pounds of Pilsen malt, half a pound of Cara Hell, and then a little over probably 1.5 ounces of Saaz if you're doing a 5-gallon batch. And then go ahead and do that Urkel yeast, that Czech lager yeast that Imperial makes. It's good. I'm really pleasantly surprised.
Did you build up your notes in Brewer's Friend? Like, do you have the recipe written down?
I've got it in Brewer's Friend, but it's so simple that it's.
Well, I just meant because before Todd, you looked like you want to say something, but let me say this real quick. We're going to start publishing our first, starting with our favorite recipes on homebrewhappyhour.com. I published my breakfast stout, included with links for you to be able to buy the stuff and, or just follow along however you want. And people are, I'll talk about a recipe I brew and they're like, yeah, that's nice, but what is James brewing? Can you publish what James is brewing? So you're gonna have to start sharing your notes with me, like whenever you want, whichever recipes you want, and I'll get them published on homebrewhappyhour.com, because that's been the big two big requests for James Carlson. Please publish his recipes, and for the love of God, can we film a filter video? So
I've started to get emails from people. I promised that. Well, when are you gonna do it? You promised it the other day, and
when I'm up there the week of Cyber Monday, I'm going to be there the entire week next week. Maybe towards the end of the week we can film it if you have
absolutely. We need to keg that anyway. Todd gets a keg, Coy gets a keg, and I get a keg.
That's awesome. That Coy. I love that.
And y'all both get a keg of Kolsch too, so we're good, huh?
Life is good. The Kolsch that we brew.
There should be enough left over, Josh. We can get you a growler of that if you want to take a growler of that home.
Oh, I'd love to. I don't ever get my feelings hurt when I'm not a part of the brew day at all. But I get my feelings hurt when Todd takes credit for my brew days. That's the only thing.
Oh, I said you helped.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, I think that Brian's the Ugly Pug Brewing. Is that the name
Evil
of the
Pug? Evil Pug, not Ugly Pug.
I wear that
Evil.
shirt
And it's
all
Jeff.
the time.
And it's Jeff.
Jeff.
Yep.
Jeff Wilkin.
What did I say? Oh,
said
yeah. Brian's the other guy. Anyway, we should publish that recipe too.
His rye. I forgot to tell you when I was there.
Brown rye.
When I was there Friday, he told me, he said, "How did that recipe turn out?" Because I'm the only one who's ever had it, and I told him, I said, it was a huge hit. It's delicious. That brown rye turned out phenomenal.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, the cool thing about that recipe is the rye doesn't overpower the base malts.
Yep.
And anybody that's had a rye that has had too much rye in it, it's not my favorite.
No,
beer.
I agree, and it's very subtle. It almost reminded me of that Blanco rye that Real does. Todd, do you remember that?
But I think that has more rye.
No,
in
it does.
though.
But I mean,
absolutely.
in the same.
But it's similar as far.
I
as
love that beer. That's one of my favorite all-time beers. I love that beer. I think they quit brewing.
I was going to say, stupid question. Do they even distribute it anymore? I don't think.
You know what? It was a pale, and I think they turned it into an IPA eventually. And then I'm not sure.
Of course, doesn't everybody?
Doesn't everybody?
But when it was a pale, I don't think it was any hoppier than when they started calling it IPA. I think they just changed the name.
Marketing.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I have before we get into our 4 questions for this week's show. It is the week of Black Friday. First off, when this is publishing, happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you are ignoring your family to listen to this or watch this because you don't want to fight over politics or religion or whatever people fight about these days at the Thanksgiving table. I hope you're watching us. No, we are recording this on Tuesday, but to be published on Thursday. We have a lot to be thankful for, specifically starting with you. We have a question that talks about what, our Thanksgiving beers are and all that. But I will say, starting at the top of it, we're so thankful, whether you're a paying member of our Trub Club or you're just a faithful viewer and or listener, we are so appreciative of you. And we thank you for joining us every week. Todd still doesn't believe me that the majority of y'all are real when I talk about our download numbers. He thinks I've hired a bot farm in China to fudge the numbers. But then people do call in and mention the podcast, and he thinks I've paid these people as well. So
I know Jeff and Brian are real.
That's
because I've talked to both of them recently,
and I've met your dad. I know he's real.
I haven't actually talked to both of them. Huh? I don't think you could fake. It would be too much work for you to fake all those emails and everything.
It would.
That's what they say at the moon landing. It's just too much work.
That's right. It would have been too much
easier
work.
just to go.
Absolutely. Whoa, let's not get into that, James. But anyway. But yeah, Black Friday, there are deals starting tonight at kegconnection.com. We don't want you to miss. Keg kits are heavily discounted. Components. There's a lot of stuff right now. And Todd's going to be working me like a dog, so I'm going to make the claim that I'm going to be up there fulfilling your order and providing fast shipment times. I'm going to get the order. I'm going to do it better than I did a decade ago when we had to recall orders and then I had to replace stuff. Blah blah blah. I have
some stuff's going to get left out, guys. I apologize up front. We'll get it taken care of, though.
I'm going to fulfill your order and sign my name and take a Polaroid and put it in there because it's a big deal to me that I'm back to fulfilling orders. But no, I wanted to come up and help because it is such a crazy time. But yeah, go to kegconnection.com. Look at all the deals we have going on. And my favorite deal, I'm not going to give any spoilers today. You'll just have to go to the site. A big promotion on the Brautag system. Todd, I don't know how much you'll let me disclose. So what do you want to say about the Brautag?
So we've decided to take a little different approach. We were doing a lot of add-ons and things like that. We're gonna sell the system as it is at a really, really good price. It will not include shipping, but it's free pickup here. And even if you're in Austin or we might even be able to have somebody bring it to you, but no, we'll have free pickup, and then we'll try to find the best way to ship it if you can't pick it up. But we're gonna really
big discount.
It's gonna be a good deal.
It's gonna be a hell of a deal.
It is a great system too.
And to sweeten the deal, we didn't even talk about this before the show, but the financing option will still work on the website, even with the huge deal that we are going to be doing on Thursday night or Friday morning. Technically, is when it'll be. Yeah. So you can still, we use Klarna. They're pretty popular across the board in our industry. I believe Spike uses Klarna. So if you've ever been pre-approved by them before for any other brewing purchase. You won't have to do anything. And the pre-approval process is quick. I accidentally did it and got pre-approved for a stupid amount of money. And I didn't check my credit score, James. It probably knocked me down a few points or something. But
oh, don't even get me started on that.
I know that's the inside thing. Yeah. Well, anyway, so
it's one of those things that if you've ever decided that you wanted to do a Herm system and you were kind of off this at any time, this is the time to get a Herm system.
Yep. I'll just say that, and it is just for the weekend of Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Disclaimer too: we have a certain number of systems we could sell, and if we run, if we run out, then we will not. There may be a pretty good delay in getting the additional ones, but we've got quite. I think we have about 6 ready to go. Right, full systems, 5 or 6.
We've got 2 packed. And then we've got the biggest thing is the controllers on those. They take a lot of time to build and test, and all our controllers.
And you're the one hand testing them and calibrating them.
I'm building them and testing them, and also running a batch of beer through them. So the ones that we have that are packed and ready to ship, they've already had a test batch of beer run through them. I try to work them pretty hard.
Well, not the kettles and everything, but the actual controller, just the controller.
The controller, the electric part of that system is the one that we test with a batch of beer. And that's important because we want to make sure the temperatures are reading correctly. Of course, that doesn't mean you're still going to have to calibrate it when you get it home. But anything with the high voltage, we want Todd and I both have decided that it's a good idea to go ahead and put it through its paces because, when we've got the controllers and there's electronic switches and all of that, I mean, it just one little loose terminal can cause enough resistance to melt a whole circuit. So it's real important that we run a batch through and make sure that it's good when it goes out the door.
And it's a great excuse for us to run a batch of beer and get 17 and a half gallons
that's
of
what
beer
I was going to say. Right? That's the first and foremost priority. But also, too, James is the most meticulous R&D, quality assurance, QA type of person. So he definitely is making sure that because James, if he puts his name to it, he doesn't want to be embarrassed. Where I sometimes cut corners. I won't with your order at keggconnection.com during Black Friday weekend, but James definitely.
I don't want to get that call from
exactly.
Todd, we really put a lot of our heart in this system and a lot of care went into those controllers are unbelievably complex to put together if you've never done it.
Oh, they work so good though. Yeah, they really work well.
And that's why I'm talking you up because you put in all the care so that it's ready to go out of the box. That's the value of the system and the ease of use of these controllers when y'all were developing it. But yes.
And it takes, and Todd, you can back me up on this, it takes about 8 to 10 hours to put one of those things together.
Yeah.
And when you open the box and look inside, it's kind of overwhelming because it just looks like a bunch of neatly arranged spaghetti wires.
I decided that I was going to put one together alongside with James, and so I could learn how to do one as well.
I remember.
And I'm still working on mine.
It's still in pieces. Anyway, go to keggconnection.com. It'll be
full information here. We're not going to send you the one that I've been working on, okay?
That goes to his barn on his wall.
Sorry, Josh. I didn't mean to
No, you're good. I was trying to get us to the questions. So go to keggconnection.com at the end of this week or tonight after you're done listening to this or anytime during Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. Check out all the deals. And like I said, specifically, all of our deals actually are only valid while supplies last. And because of the craziness that is due to shipping and supply issues and COVID and blah, 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 2020, 2021, don't sleep on it. And the financing works for anything on that site. So as long as the purchase is above, I think 150 might be Klarna's lower end, but it'll tell you when you try to finance. So if you want to get your Christmas shopping done or get your significant other over your shoulder and go, hey, wouldn't this be nice if you got me this for Christmas? Because that's what I'm doing to my wife. But anyway, we've got 4 questions for you all, starting with a text message from our buddy Don, who used our hotline at 325-305-6107. Don wrote, complete newbie question here. What would happen if you kegged before fermentation completed? Will you get yeasty boys floating around the keg? I like that, yeasty boys. Off flavors, a big no-no or no big deal? Thanks, Don. So first off, we should have named the club the Yeasty Boys. That's
oh god.
If I would have thought of that, that's so good. The Yeasty Boys. Gosh, that's so good, because now all I get is, it's actually pronounced Trub, don't you? And I go, well, the Trub Club, which I'm not opposed to saying that. I think that's funnier to me than Super Duper, because Todd gets annoyed like, it's Trub. Everyone knows it's Trub. The modern vernacular says Trub. No, man, Charlie in like the 70s was like, it's Trub. But anyways, to Don's question, I've never done this knowingly, James. You and Todd both actually are always taking numbers more than I've ever considered taking numbers. Has there been a time when you knew there was activity still going on, but you wanted to turn or get the beer kegged and served? I mean, I can't think of a reason why you would keg, but what would happen if you did keg prior to?
What you do is, if you do it at room temp, then you can naturally carbonate what's left. If there's enough sugars left, it'll go to town. It'll create more trub at the bottom. Or like Todd did the other day with his conical, he wanted to stop it at a certain percentage, and that leaves it a little residual sweetness. So, I mean, that's why we do it, is we want to leave it a little sweeter than, normally on a given style. Right, Todd?
Yeah, you stop it for that. I mean, I usually stop it, but you could always ferment some more in a keg, and you are going to get, I've never gotten any Trub, but I get Trub sometimes at the bottom. And, but the thing is, really what you could do is just, once you really get it cold and everything drops to the bottom, you just serve a couple of glasses out of your tap system, and you're going to fill up a glass full of yeast and go, ugh, what's that? But after you pour a couple glasses, it'll all be gone because it's pulling off the very bottom, and then you should get nice clear beer. So you should be fine.
There are people, and we've kind of gone over this in other episodes, who purposefully do their fermentation in a keg, and they use what's called a floating dip tube to make sure that it's drawing always from the top liquid, because the trub will go to the very bottom every time. Like, it's not gonna, you might get some floaties around if you jostle the keg, but it's gonna settle at the bottom. So if you use a float, if you were gonna do this, Don, consistently, like, hey, I'm impatient, or I just want to go ahead and use my keg to ferment, and you could get a floating dip tube, and boom, you killed two birds, right? Like, now you start serving whenever you damn well please. But I like, James, I like what you're talking about, because if you did bring it down to room temp, you could just start getting some natural carbonation in the keg, and that seems like a win-win.
Yeah. I know when we do a lager, when I do the diacetyl, I'll put what they call a splunding valve. It's just a pressure valve for the gauge. I'll pull the tube out, and I'll put that on there. And when it does the diacetyl, it's at room temp, and it'll partially carbonate the beer inside. And it doesn't take as much to finish out. That's what I did with this. And you can see just swirling it around. It's got carbonation in it.
God, that looks so good. I wish that our Zoom captured 4K and that our cameras were 4K, because seeing it in person is much better than seeing it on a computer screen. But yeah, so for Don, so I guess, this is a pretty simple, straightforward question. Well, one, I would say, guys, do you think it's a good rule of thumb to, when you can, let your beer finish before transferring it to a serving vessel?
Yeah, with your bottle, that's a big and very important thing.
Todd?
I always do. I have never carbonated naturally in the keg. I've always finished it completely, cold crashed it, let it settle out, put it in the keg using a closed transfer. And then, that's just the way I shouldn't say I've always done that. When I first started brewing, I did different things, but I can't really remember exactly what I did. But now I use the same procedure every time, and I get really clear beer, and I like that. So
and I totally glossed over these parts, Don. Sorry. Off flavors? No, you're not going to get any off flavors from kegging. Now, prematurely, I'm using air quotes because it's not actually.
Well, the one question I would have that I don't know is, was he talking about at the very end? to carbonate it, or was he talking about halfway through he's going to put it in a keg? I mean, I can't imagine somebody would do that, but I don't know why you would.
I like making general assumptions. That's kind of a policy in my life. I would, to speak on Don's behalf, because I didn't text him back except to tell him that he got a $25 gift card. I would say it's one of those things like, hey, I brewed a beer for a party. Oh God, it's not quite done yet. I'm going to keg it and start serving it because it should have probably sat another 5 days or 4 days or whatever, but I want to get it in a keg. That's what I imagine his scenario is, but I'm making this up.
But it would be, the off flavor would be, it could possibly be extremely sweet. Because if it's not done yet, it's going to be
okay. Good point. Your point.
It could be sickeningly sweet.
Yeah.
You know,
and I misinterpreted off flavor because I was thinking like, no, the introduction of diacetyl or phenols or whatever should
something like a contamination, not so much.
But you're right, Todd.
Profile.
You're right. Flavor profile will be off, so that is an off flavor. So okay, you're right. Yeah. So big no or no big deal. I would say, Don, user discretion.
Just monitor the gravity and make sure you're where you need to be on the end.
How many times do y'all take gravity from the brew day till you're serving your first pour?
Too many.
Too
many. How many pints of beer I waste?
250 readings is what it feels like.
I tend to take multiple readings. Well, I like to know where it is because, I don't. It depends on the style. I mean, there's some styles of beer that the drier they get, the happier I am. So if they go to 1.006, I'm as happy as I can be. But there's some, like a Kolsch. I almost got the last one. I thought too dry, although I was shocked at how it still had a little bit of the sweet taste to it.
Is that what was that at the party?
Yeah, and it was
delicious.
It was very low when I finished it. 1.008 or 1.007. So on this last one though, I stopped it about 10, I believe, if I remember right, 10 or 9. I've got it written down, but
your keg that I took home was phenomenal. It's very much to me like Reisdorf, where it had that little extra sweetness, which I like. It wasn't quite the dry cloud that I used to describe Fru, but it was a phenomenal. It is a phenomenal.
I think Fru has some sweetness to it as well, though.
Yeah, but not. Yeah,
I agree.
But
maybe not
yours,
as much as Peter's, but it does have.
Right? Yeah. But Todd, I would say your Kolsch is sweeter than Fru. Is what I was getting at.
Well, thank you,
Todd. You're sweeter than Fru. Oh God. Anyway, Don, thank you so much for submitting your question. This is a great time to remind you, if and when we take your question on a future episode, we do give you a $25 gift card to keggconnection.com. And this week was perfect timing for these guys because you can spend it on Black Friday. There is no limitation of when you can spend your Keg Connection gift card. Moving on to question number 2, came from our buddy Rick, who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Rick wrote, Joshua, Todd, James, I love what you guys do. Are you hiring? That's not actually my question, but I had to ask. My question is about buying grains at a garage sale. I recently found a guy selling a sack of grains, roughly 30 pounds worth, for basically nothing, and he said it was Pilsner malt. The sack is generic with no markings. Of course I had to buy it. I think I paid $5 for it. I tasted it. I know. I tasted it and it doesn't taste bad or stale. I don't know for sure if it's Pilsner malt though. How would you tell? Accepting that it is Pilsner malt and knowing that I brew 5-gallon batches, what should I brew with all this cheap grain? How will I know if the grains are bad? Thanks for the entertainment every week and I wish you all the best. I know y'all's answer would be you're going to just brew. Like brew it.
Yeah, just brew.
Well, yeah, I mean, he said he tasted it. If it tastes good, it's good. I mean, right? If you throw it in your mouth and you chew on it and it tastes like grain normally does and tastes good, I think it's good. And then that's all I know. I'll let James answer the rest of the question.
Oh, no, that you're dead on. I'd take about 9 pounds of that, crack it, do a smash beer. Single malt, single hop. Just try it with that, and then like some Saaz hops or Hallertau.
Or hear me out. Get some Vienna too, and do a Kolsch.
Yeah, you could.
That's always your answer, though. To be fair.
Yeah.
No, the smash. I do like your idea. Because you're right. The smash would be easier because then
I think of it as a test batch because you can make something similar, a lawnmower beer for the most part, something just simple.
That's a great idea to test it, because you're not going to use all 30 pounds if you're doing 5-gallon batches. He said that, pardon me, knowing that I brew 5-gallon batches. So he's going to know. I mean, the person who you bought it from, I imagine, has those grains because they were a brewer, and him telling you, I think it's Pilsner, was probably just doing his due diligence, because if it was bad, he could. I don't know why the guy wasn't confident. I just is what I'm getting at. Like how did he not know?
Here's what I think about that. If he's got that amount of malt on hand, it's a base malt. I mean, nobody buys 30 pounds or a 55-pound sack of 20L or anything that wouldn't be used as a base malt. So I'd be pretty confident it's a base malt, whether it be Pilsen malt, 2-row, pale ale malt. You can make some good beer with it.
Yeah, we've had more than decent. We had really good beer one time when James just went up there and there was all these bags of grain and we didn't have any. We had no idea what the hell they were.
I remember.
So we just threw them all in and we brewed them, and I say we. See, I'm using the royal we again. James actually did all this, but I watched him.
Yeah.
So,
was that the Franken Ale that you did a few years ago? Was that what that? Because that was my uncle, whose son was the recipient of this wedding shower my parents threw, his oldest son. That uncle, that was his favorite beer of all time. He's asked about it before many a times. Like, has James ever done that again? I don't think he remembered what he put in it the first time.
Well, it's not that he didn't remember. He didn't know what he put in it.
Well, that pardon me. That's what I meant. You're right. Those aren't synonymous. Yeah. He didn't know what was in it. It was just like, this is.
I mean, Todd and I went up there and we were both shocked at the sheer amount of cracked grains that were in the end of. And I looked at him and he looked, and I was reading his bind and he was reading mine. I was like, well, we can either throw it away or we can make a beer out of it. So that's what we did.
Yeah. And like Todd said, I don't have the most experience with malts and testing them out or this or that, but it's pretty obvious. I think y'all would agree when you taste it, if it's stale or not. Like that's a pretty universal tasting measure. Most people have the ability to like you can, you've had stale bread, you've had stale in any breaded products. What stale probably tastes like, and it's no different with grains. Grains aren't like
stale breakfast cereal.
Exactly, which I still eat because I'm gross and I'm addicted to sugar.
Well, yours has so much sugar in it you can't taste it anyway.
Exactly, or I pour more. Here's when I knew I had a problem. We had my daughters. The two things they're notoriously bad at: flushing the toilet after they poop and closing the cereal bag. And I don't know which one bothers me more.
I went through that, Emily, to this day, and she's a teenager. Is that problem?
Oh, you probably shouldn't tell that story, James. God forbid she ever listens to it.
I started taking pictures.
Don't worry about that.
I've been taking pictures of full commodes, and I have them ready, an album for their weddings. It's gonna be like, oh, this was the poop you left on February 2nd, 2019. This is the one you did on February 19th. But anyway, back to the cereal thing. They leave the cereal open, and it goes. One time it went stale, and it was it might have been just mini wheats, not the frosted ones. I was like, well, I'm not letting this waste. Got the sugar and just until the staleness went away, because I'd rather have diabetes than throw away cereal, breakfast cereal. Not going to waste anything. But I almost, let me segue this back to our show. I almost feel like you guys would do everything you could to save a 30-pound sack of free grains as well, right? Like, unless it was absolutely like weevils were coming out and it had mold or something and tasted terrible. That's about the only reason you might not use it.
Yeah, I mean, a few weevils wouldn't bother us.
I've hand sifted grain because
That's right. No, that's right.
Weevils, that's just protein. What are you talking about?
I forget who I'm talking to. Yeah, so Rick, the gist is use the grains in confidence. I love James' idea. Do a smash for your first one, using 9 pounds of it, and then you'll have 2 more brew days where you can get some Vienna and then do a Kolsch, and life will be good. But anyways, Rick, thank you so much for submitting your question. Moving on to question number 3, came from our buddy who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Wrote, "Hi Josh, like I had said in an email to you, my friend is a huge fan of Homebrew Happy Hour. He has included me in his beer making this past year, and I'd like to get him something that maybe all brewers need or could use. I don't mind spending some money, but he isn't that close of a friend. LOL. Please help me with some gift ideas for giving to a home brewer. Thank you, Rick." Pardon me. I'd copy and pasted from the bottom. That was sorry. Actually, I shouldn't have included his name because if your buddy listens to the show,
he listens to the show.
I'm not going to
You'll
edit.
have to scrub that.
I know I'm going to have to beep. So when I go back and you hear beep, that is why, friends, because I said this poor guy's name when he admitted my friend. He's probably our fifth listener. He listens to the show too, and I just ratted him out. I'm a snitch. Anyway, random stranger whose neighbor you include in brewing. I like this. It is the time for gift giving, right? It is. And this weekend particularly is when most people get their shopping done. I'm going to start off this with some gift ideas, and we have more. We have a ton. We could do a whole show on gift ideas. I got for brewing the beer at the wedding shower and brewing beer for them. My cousin and his fiance got me. It's called The Comic Book Story of Beer, the world's favorite beverage from 7000 BC to today's craft brewing revolution. I'll include it in the show notes, a link to it. It is a graphic novel covering the entire span, and it has.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
It's perfect for me, and they have breakdowns of any given style. Like here's the American lager, and it breaks it down with all the stats you need to know about it. And it's just it is a literal illustrated history. It's phenomenal. I could not believe when they got it for me. My wife was like, "That's perfect," because I'm a comic book nerd from like the 70s and 80s comics is what my uncle had given me, my great uncle.
We should get one of those for Roger Lee. So
he would love that.
Can I do a shout out to Roger Lee? He's my
9-year-old nephew.
He's my I say nephew, but it's really my wife's cousin. But he calls me Uncle Todd, so he's my nephew. Roger Lee, we appreciate you listening to pretty much every episode we've ever done. He watches them while I'm all the time.
Does he really?
Yeah, all the time. I think he's watched like all of them. So Roger Lee, we appreciate you being our number one fan.
Our 11th listener. We appreciate you. We do. So my gift idea. I know people. Comic books are like, oh man, is that childish or not? I'm telling you, this book is the coolest thing I've gotten all year. And Christmas is coming up, honey, so maybe my wife can fix that, by giving me something cooler. But I was really enthralled with it. I was like, this is so cool the way they illustrated it. But there's a ton of gift ideas that you can.
Can you bring it up?
Yeah, I'll bring it with me.
Next time you come, I want to see it.
Yeah, I'll bring it over. I'm coming up, next week. So You can't have it though. It's mine. You can't have it. This isn't one of those things where people send in stuff for the podcast and you go, well, technically it's my podcast, so that would be mine. No, wouldn't it? No, this was a gift for me, Todd Burns. But that's my gift suggestion. I'm going to segue to the next gift suggestion. I would say a safe bet for any home brewer would be a gift card. Agree?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah, because you can choose what you want. I mean, if you're trying to find a gift for me, a 6-pack of hydrometers is always appreciated.
We should start selling multi-pack hydrometers on Keg Connection just like that.
We'll call it a Todd pack.
A Todd pack, a burn special. It's like, well, I don't know why is it called that. They burn through them. Yes, Todd burns. If Todd Burns burned through hydrometers, how many hydrometers will Todd Burns burn? He burns through a lot. That is a fantastic idea. I think another safe gift. Well, here's. If you don't know what the needs are of the specific brewer you're buying for, it's hard to say like, oh yeah, get them a keg, because you don't know if they're even kegging. If you don't know that, the safe bets, I like I said, books, gift cards. James, DME, would that be a safe bet for a brewer? I mean, I'm trying to think of creativity.
I mean, if they're extract brewers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, would you always tell me to keep some DME in the freezer for those just in cases, like if we're going to bump the ABV or make a starter or something? I'm trying to think outside the box. A yeast pack?
That just seems like a kind of a cheap gift, a pound of DME.
It's like a pound of sugar. There you go. Enjoy.
I didn't say I had good gift ideas. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, you can laugh at me. What are your gift giving ideas? What would you give, or what kind of gift ideas do you have for someone looking for their brewing friend?
I do like the idea of books because I'm partial to. I like to read all types of books. So a book on brewing, that history of brewing. I forgot the name of the title.
Brewer's Tale.
Which Brewer's Tale was really good.
Very good.
As far as equipment, I mean, yeah, if they don't keg, a simple kegging kit, I think anybody could use that and would appreciate that. But you probably have to have some knowledge of what they have and what they don't have to make a good decision.
Yeah, or pint glasses and beer tins.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Our friends at Tin Tackers, I think our promo code's still good there. Happy Hour, to give them, I forget the savings. I gotta go back in my notes now. It'll be in the show notes. But yeah, Tin Tacker, they made both of those ones behind Todd's head there, the Homebrew Happy Hour tin or pint glasses. That's a great idea. My aunt actually got us personalized ones last year or 2 years ago for Christmas that say Stubing's Brauhaus on it. And I think she used like a U printing or Vista print. And she told us very reasonably priced and fast shipping. That's a great idea, James. Yeah, I would say, or a Homebrew Happy Hour pint glass. If you go to, go to Homebrew, our merch store is actually up. If he listens to the show a lot, we've got sweaters. I should have worn mine today. I'm wearing my Spaceman sweater. Our Der Bestie Podcast aller Zeiten sweatshirt. We've sold like 130 of those.
Really?
120 of them were for me, but 10 of them were real people. No, we sold about 130 of those. We have Relax, Don't Worry, have a homebrew shirts that we've sold a bunch of as well. If you go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on merch, it'll forward you right to our merch shop. We use Teespring because they handle all of the printing and the stocking and the shipping and all that. But I like that. Yeah, I wrote in my notes like maybe yeast packs, maybe DME, but you're right, Todd. What a lame gift if they're like, oh, Todd, thanks for the present. Oh, it's a pack of flat chip. Oh.
I would love to get Imperial yeast for a present. I would, because that's a high-end yeast.
It's a pound of DME, a pound of Brew Clean, and some yeast. Thanks, buddy. But you know what? I'm saying that sarcastically, but it's actually I would appreciate that too. Brew Clean, sanitizing.
I know something.
Go hard.
I know something. We are having a really, really good special for Black Friday on a toolkit, like a draft beer toolkit that comes in an ammo can.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that would be a great gift because it's like, I think it's less than half of the normal price, isn't it?
It is. It's 50% off the deluxe
toolkit. Or 50% off. Yeah,
It is. It's 50% off the deluxe toolkit. And you're right. They'll always be able to use that. The Oedeker clamp tool, variety of clamps, the stepless clamps, the lube, and it all comes in a cool little, is that a 30 cal? I don't want to.
30 cal ammo can. Yeah.
Which 30 cal ammo cans also make fantastic humidors. That's what I use mine for now.
That's a 50 cal. Though.
Is this a 50 cal?
Yeah.
See, shows you how much I know ammo. I'm gonna scrub that out. And not even scrub it out. I'm gonna put the beep like I did for name. Pardon me for the unknown guy's name. Son of a gun.
There's 2 beeps in a row.
Son of a gun. Anyways, back to this unnamed person's question. I like it. I like your idea, James. The pint glass is always a winner. If you get them customized, all more power to you. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Like Todd said, if you know they're not kegging yet, now's a good time to get one. If they're not that good of a friend, like this person happened to joke in their thing, then get them the pack of DME and tell me their reaction, and I'll give you another $25 gift card to Keg Connection. Oh, or look, Todd's saying the ultimate friend would get them. Are you saying get them the actual brow tag or get them?
Tag. No, I'm a brow tag. Yeah,
he's not
that a good friend.
He's not that good of a friend. We've already established that. Anyway,
you know what he needs to do? He could take. I've got I always keep my iPhone boxes when I buy them. Just take an iPhone box and put a couple bags of hops in it and wrap it up.
that's fantastic. Absolutely. Okay, best gift idea goes to James.
And then record it when he opens.
Yep, send it to us and we will publish it on our Instagram. That is fantastic. Oh.
Yeah, I did that to my daughter one year and she was squealing like a giddy little schoolgirl until she opened it up and it was a box of Jell-O pudding.
No,
that's cold.
You dog. You absolute dog. Anyway, that's hilarious. So, unnamed person, I almost said his name again. Thank you for submitting that question. Check your email because I do have a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com for you. Last question came from our buddy David, who used our text hotline at 325-305-6107. David wrote, "What is your go-to Thanksgiving beer?" Follow-up. If you can't brew your favorite, then what are you grabbing at the store to bring with you? Cheers, guys. This time of the year is my favorite because it's the best food that we ever consume, and it's a good excuse to drink the boozy stouts. Those are my go-to at Thanksgiving. Normally, I'm not driving home. My wife is, so I will either bring some breakfast stout with me, or if they have stout on tap. Last year, I think my aunt had a milk stout or it was a chocolate stout. One of them were on tap. Phenomenal beers. I love stouts. I love stouts even with the Thanksgiving meal, and then the cigar after the fact that I always end up having. Stouts are my go-to, whether I can brew it or go grab some Founders on the way there. That's my answer. Todd, I'll kick it to you. What beer are you drinking primarily?
Well, I am extremely fortunate because of the party, and we have more culture on the way, that I'm going to have 9 beers on tap for Thanksgiving, including Josh's breakfast stout and that incredible brown rye that I brewed. And
the Vienna Lager. Do you still have any Vienna Lager? Because
I have the Vienna Lager, which is another great Christmas beer, right? Those are all good for Christmas. I mean, Thanksgiving. I have Christmas on my mind because on Thanksgiving, I always have to have an Anchor Steam, the Christmas beer.
Yep. Yeah, their annual release.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's already out, and I always have some around, and I always have to have one on Thanksgiving, and I have to have one on Christmas. I'm very set in my ways. So.
James, and yeah, like I said, Todd never struggles with having homebrew at Thanksgiving. But first, do you even have beer on tap this year, James? Please tell me you've taken some beer home and you have some at home.
I don't have any right now. I've got what's in that kegger, the conical, and I'll have a Pilsner on that. But if I don't, my favorite beer right now, all time, is Versteiner Pils.
Oh, it's so
that
good.
is amazing Pilsner. It has a finish that is unique. If I can't find that, Hofbrau Original is a Pilsner. It's a lager, and it's good. And third would be, I can't get fruit around here, so the third beer would probably be Dallas Blonde. That's the closest Texas Kolsch that I can find. That's Deep Ellum Brewery, and that's pretty close to a German Kolsch.
You just made me want to go get some of that Versteiner Pils because I forget.
It is so good.
And here's a good combo for Thanksgiving dinner: Versteiner Pils and Versteiner Dunkel. That's like the ultimate day.
Believe it or not, they stock that in De Leon at the grocery store.
What? Do they really?
They got Hofbrau Original and Dunkel. Somebody over there told the guy that stocks the beer that he needs to keep those in, and they're always in stock.
That Dunkel. So I first had it when I went to Germany, but not the Germany Todd talks about, the real Germany, Epcot, Disney World, Germany. When I went there the first time, they had it on draft, and it blew my mind. I was like, this is such a good beer. And I, for some reason, thought the only place I can ever have it is got to be at Epcot. And then I think Todd or somebody was like, no, they serve it. They distribute it all over the country. I was like, what? And I try to have Versteiner Dunkel. That, or funny enough, you said the Hofbrau Original. Hofbrau's Dunkel is also really, really good. They have they just make good beer. I just like German beers. James made me a German beer man when you started working for the company. Before, I was like, whatever Todd handed me, okay. If I didn't like it, just be like, whatever. He handed it to me. But James was like, I like German beers and try these. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I like German beers too.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna order some Total Wine beers before you come up. Would you mind picking them up?
Sure.
Can you go by there?
Yeah. Yes. Sunday. We'll do a pickup on Sunday.
I like the idea of the. So the Warsteiner, you'll have to tell me which one for sure, James. Because I want to try some of that.
The liquor store across from Sonic and Comanche usually always keeps it at least a case.
Oh, it does. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
And so
if you could get that
you'll have to beat me to it, but
you have to. Yeah, Todd, don't do that to him before Thanksgiving. You're going to be the Grinch.
The
yeah.
lady that's in there working, she just looks at me. I know when I leave, she's thinking that man's got a problem. But if I see Versteiner pills, I buy everything that they have.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I just make my way in the cooler and grab a box and just fill it up.
The South Park Meadow location of Spetz Liquor in Austin, Texas, I buy them out of their cases of Froo. Every time I go there, I say, "Oh, they have Froo is in a case of it. It's mine." And then they reorder it, rinse and repeat every time. You know, one of my buddies works for a distributor, and he texted me a photo of the mini kegs that, you know, they started stocking these mini kegs. I was like, "Bro,
oh, those are awesome.
They're awesome.
The little tins.
They you know what? I could actually get one of those for Thanksgiving, and that'd be a great thing because if once you open it up, though, it's like a growler. The carbonation. Yeah. So I tell him, like, bro, I know on my Instagram I look like I drink a lot, but I'm drinking like 7 or 9 ounce increments and not that much. I'm not drinking a mini keg by myself, man.
But you know, James and I did that one time, and we
figured out a way.
Yeah, we carbonated it.
What?
So we kept the carbonation in it.
Oh,
sure.
See, that's another video idea we got to do because I'm going to get my inbox flooded with, I want to know how to carbonate from the mini keg. Well,
Todd just happened to have in the backstock room one of those mini keg taps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was looking at that and it kind of floated around on a production table. And for the longest time, what the hell is that? And then it dawned on me one day, we had gotten some Schlussel from Stefan. And I thought that looks real close to what goes on there. You know, they have home dispensers for those and it fits on top and then it pumps gas in and you can push and that's all we did. But I think with what I did was I actually pumped it into a real keg. But the risk is oxidation. And I think, Todd, you just dispensed it with gas, right?
Yep. And I drank it all.
Yep.
I had help.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Or like HomebrewCon 2020 online when we opened that one to Schlussel and we just floated it. We just
there you go. That's a better idea. That was fun, wasn't it?
So I changed my answer, David. Well, no, Founder's Breakfast Stout's what I'm probably going to bring, but actually maybe I'll grab a mini keg because I don't believe my aunt has beer on tap. I think they have a cider maybe. I forgot what she told me because I was drinking a little at the wedding shower, but they told me something and I could get that mini keg and worst case, I'll end up drinking most of it. So that'll be a win-win having Froo there and maybe a sitzer of breakfast stout because I thought you can't drink too much of it at any sitting, but the visitors of the wedding shower proved me wrong. You can.
Right.
Yeah, they proved me wrong. But anyway, David, thank you so much for submitting your question. Guys, that's all I have for this week. I appreciate your time because like Todd kind of mentioned at the top of the episode, I know y'all you're running around crazy busy and not even enough time to get a haircut on that graying head of yours. So thank you for your time. I appreciate y'all so much, and I'll see y'all next week.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsor, Imperial Yeast. Get a free pack of Imperial Yeast with your monthly recipe kit when you join our Trub Club. Go to homebrewhappyhour.com/club or patreon.com/homebrew happy hour to learn more. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.